Football Ferns, the pair of them. Come on down. Barbara and Michele Cox both played for our national team. Barbara, in fact, our first ever Football Fern, played her first game at 26 in 1973, 34 games between 73 and 87. And her daughter, not just her only daughter, but Michele, who played between 87 and 98, 20 caps, also damn good, scored 9 goals. Pretty good average out of 20 games. 219. Well, what a warm welcome it is to the show, and two beautiful people who I haven't seen for a very long time. Hello, Barbara. Hi, Michele. How are you?
Hi, Marty. Hi, Marty.
Oh, bugger about last night. Let's start with you, Barbara. I don't know. I just thought that we just weren't in the game like we were against Norway. It was frustrating. We just seemed a little bit behind. What do you think?
Totally frustrating. And honestly, when you're playing against the 8-man defence, it's difficult because you've got to be careful about, that one breakaway goal that could always possibly happen. But it is really hard to penetrate such a strong sort of defence line.
Yeah, Michele, they set up well, didn't they? They were compact. They kind of, to me, knew what they were going to do, which was just absorb pressure and let us have the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And, their coach was the coach of the Matildas. So he's a smart guy, right? So I thought we also got a bit rattled and lost our composure, not like the first game where we just were in control. But yesterday there was, it just didn't look quite the same, and that's what I was worried about, that this would happen.
What was your worry?
Just coming off the back of such a high, and then, in this tournament, and I've been saying this all along, there are no teams that are here that couldn't win on their day. It doesn't matter if they're ranked 49 because the rankings, they work historically as well. So if you've played more games and started like New Zealand did in the 70s, someone like Nigeria or the Philippines are catching up on those points. So anything, as I've said, is in the top 50 is capable of winning on their day. Yeah.
Barbara, so the way that we set up and the way that we were going about the game, looking at it now, and it's easier in hindsight, but what would you have changed?
I think I would have asked the players to start doing a little bit more individual skill through the middle. And, there's two things, possibly going down the flanks, which they did do, but then driving the ball in as hard as possible and looking for a rebound amongst all the players, because that can often result in a goal. And the other way is actually taking on players and making little 1-2 passes, just anything to get in amongst the players. There was very little space, and I think that's why the players seemed to get quite frustrated, and they sort of played around the edge as well, but in that final pass to either shoot at goal or play in, that they just couldn't get past the opposing players.
Yeah, very perceptive. I thought exactly the same watching it. What did you think, Michele, as well? I thought we huffed and puffed, but yeah, it was that kind of that clinicalness, if that's such a word you need, we didn't have.
Yeah. I might have actually given Millie Clegg a run last night just to provide something different. So that would have been one thing I would have tried, because we were down right and it didn't seem to be working what we were doing. So, yeah. So that's what I would have added.
Annalie Longo coming on for Paige Riley. I thought that was also a substitution mistake, Barbara, because I just thought that Paige Riley is what you're talking about, one of those rare players who can beat a player, who can create her own space.
Yeah, I must admit I was a little bit surprised about that, because she combines really well with Malia Steinmetz, I think that's her name.
Yep.
On the other hand, Annalie does add that composure of experience. So possibly a toss-up. I just thought then we just needed that more composure on that, and perhaps a little bit better possession keeping. Like, I don't know what the pitch was like, but a lot of the balls didn't seem to stick to the players' feet. And that's Yeah, that's why I say about that, holding the ball the first time it comes and playing off these little 1-2s, even taking on players. Because, when you've got so many defenders around you, it's so easy, as I said, to get tripped up. And, sometimes that's the only way that you can get close to scoring.
Barbara and Michele Cox are with us. Both played for the Football Ferns. Barbara, in fact, our first ever Football Fern. Michele, you've played in many games like this where it's just not going well. You need a change-up. Did you see that we had a plan B last night or not?
Listen, I think Yitka, she's probably got the best mentor in the whole world, so they would have had something, but it's just whether it can be executed on the night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think, as I said before, they got rattled, and the more frustrated you get, the more difficult it is. So, so I just hope for Switzerland that they're going to be really tough. They're 20, but they should also probably be ranked higher, that we go out like we did with Norway.
It's one of the things I was quite surprised with. Katie Bowen said afterwards immediately, Barbara, that they wanted it more. And I don't know whether that's just in the heat of after the game and whether or not, she'd actually thought about that a lot. But that's a bit worrying because I thought against Norway we wanted it more. And so I'd be very surprised, that the desire wasn't there because that's the very first thing that I would have expected.
Yeah, no, I was actually in Sydney for the Norway game, and so I watched it on TV. And the difference was just remarkable. And I don't think it's a case of wanting it more. I think the players were a little bit bamboozled about trying to get through so many defenders.
Yeah.
So, for example, we were still keeping four our defenders at the back, and there was still only, say, 1, 2 or possibly 3 attackers. And there were times when the midfield players were actually probably a good 15 metres, maybe 20 metres off the first line of defence. And I still think, and this is the problem about playing teams like that they were quite fast, the Philippines, and so you're always concerned that, one long ball or one mistake can actually lead to a goal. So I think not that they didn't want it. I think it was more a case of being a little bit cautious and not being able to throw everything and just push forward like they did in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, Michele, I thought that save at the end from their keeper, who doesn't look at all Filipino to me. I don't know what I'm saying there, but
there were quite a few of those. There
were a number of pale faces in that team I saw, but that save from the keeper, that was world class. Look, the volley was perfect. It was down, it was into the ground, it was to the corner, the body was opened up, and she just flicked her hand at it. Wow, that was an amazing save.
No, it wasn't amazing.
And you know what, Martin?
See, Mum's going to talk over you here again, Michele. This is what happens. This has been your whole life.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Well, I will just finish then. But honestly, look, when you play football and it's a tight game, there's just games where nothing goes right for you. And you sometimes just have to accept that and move on.
And to be fair, Marty, oh gosh, I got a word in.
Keep going.
No, like when we played the US and beat them in 87, we defended the whole game. It was sort of like exactly the same as this one, but we got that breakaway and scored. And so, we've had our times where it's gone our way as well.
All right, what do we do from here finally? And I thank you so much for your time. It's just been so lovely catching up with both of you. What do we do from here? We've got to bury that straight away. We play simultaneous kickoff when Philippines play Norway. Is it keeping that result and what happens in that game out of our minds, Michele, and just concentrate on putting a great effort in against Switzerland? Even if we secure a point, well, then maybe it might unfold for us.
Yeah, it was like Norway, and you have to forget what you've done in the last game, right, and just focus on the next one. And I think keeping confidence is really important for our team, and knowing that what they've done with Norway, they can beat a team that's ranked higher than us. So, making sure for me always psychologically that the team is in a good space.
Thank you so much, both of you. Brilliant. Lovely catching up.
Yeah, it was. Nice to talk to you.
Devlin.
Yes! Yes! Can they do it?
The platform.